On tonight's episode, we'll be looking at sustainable and just water services looking into the future, set to the backdrop of climate change. Now, climate change is a big issue. See the Swan River behind me? With the rising water levels, it could look like this. So this, completely underwater. And that's not the only thing that climate change is going to do. In areas where there's higher water levels, there's also going to be areas of lower water levels, creating water scarcity. Now, if we want to provide just and sustainable water services into the future, with climate change as a problem, we need to come up with a solution to that. So on tonight's episode, we've assembled a crack team. A team of economists, a team of technicians, a team of social and cultural experts, a team of politicians, and a team of environmentalists, who together are going to come up with a solution to the problem. Let's look into it. Hi, welcome to the show. Tonight we're starting in the workshop. I've been tasked with looking at desalination and a wastewater recycling plant this week. So I've taken apart an entire desalination plant, and I even managed to do it with less screws than what I started with. So I took apart an entire wastewater recycling treatment plant. I found this in there, which was weird, but anyway, I digress. And what I found out about the technology was really interesting, but there was some other stuff I'd like to let you guys know about. Now, desal turns salt water into fresh water, but most countries that can afford it are very well developed. But where does this leave countries that aren't as well developed or are landlocked? The tech team suggested that a solution in which a global council dictates the distribution of desalinated water would be the way to go. Rich countries that build new desalination plants would be required to give a portion of water or to build desalination plants in the less developed countries. We see this as a just and equitable solution so that everyone can share in the assets of the globe equally. As current water sources may be unstable in the future, the reliance on desal is likely to become greater. Now, what about wastewater recycling? Well, that was at the other end of the water supply cycle. What we found is that the technology, it's already there, but that the education and legislation wasn't. A lot of people don't understand how clean treated wastewater actually is, and a lot of countries without stringent legislation are simply throwing their wastewater away, essentially burning an asset for them to use. As we said before, as water tends to become scarcer in the future, we're going to need to educate people to accept these recycled drinking water and ensure that water is recognised as the valuable asset that it is. So, in conclusion, the tech that we have now, it's sufficient, but it's not a one-dimensional tech-based problem, it's a multi-dimensional problem. There's equity issues and education issues and legislation issues that we need to overcome first as we provide water services into the future for people to ensure that they're equitable and just as climate change increases water. Wow, some great technology there. We can see you spent all your time on that and not cleaning that workshop. Anyway, Ms. Panache, our political advisor, we've managed to get her on her 5-minute lunch break from the House of Commons before she's back running the country.
Thanks, Sam. You're in for a treat today. There's a court case happening that I thought you and the audience might find interesting, so let's sneak in and observe. Court is now in session. The case study before the court today is the Cape Town Day Zero crisis. In 2018, after experiencing 3 years of drought and severe water scarcity, Cape Town was on the verge of day zero. The day when taps would literally run dry and direct water supply to residents in the city would be cut off. Fortunately, this day did not ever come. Let's see what went right, what went wrong, and what Australia can learn from this case. Your Honour, the prosecution argues that a lack of consideration for policy and regulation as a part of the equation for forming a holistic solution for the provision of sustainable water services was one of the major downfalls. I present the case of the distillation plants. Cape Town rushed into a plan to build 10 temporary distillation plants, thinking that this would be some miracle solution. Engineering and technological solutions are often perceived as a fix-all, but this is not always the case. In this context, this was certainly not the right answer, or at the very least, it was not the sole answer without consideration for others. These plants were a massive failure due to the ambitious construction timeframe of 12 months, in which an additional 500 million litres of water per day was to be supplied, which was unrealistic and proceeded regardless. Your Honour, what the prosecution begets is that Cape Town did indeed avoid day zero. There were some stumbles, but ultimately the importance of political decision-making and regulatory practices were not factors that were overshadowed or undervalued, and in fact were a key piece of the puzzle to the solution. The city introduced regulations aimed at reducing water consumption by imposing varying levels of water use restrictions, and also implemented public awareness campaigns to keep the public informed and encourage them to follow the regulations. Water usage was cut by a massive 55% as a result. Wow, Sam, what a case. Sorry I had to rush out before we could hear the verdict. My lunch break is nearly over. But I think it's safe to say that we've learned a lot from the successes and failures of this case as learnings that can be implemented for Australia. This case study highlights the importance of forward thinking and long term planning. Implementing effective policy and regulation can assist in mitigating the risks posed by drought and other climate stresses.
Definitely couldn't have said that any better myself, but then again, politicians are the ones for words. Now, onto our social and cultural expert, Trang. She's just got back from teaching a 6-part lecture series in Finland. Let's find out what she knows.
Thanks, Samuel. In the future, it's really important to have strong and flexible water services, but there are social and cultural challenges in getting people to accept desalinations and recycled wastewater, even though they are key to solving water shortages. One problem with desalinations is that many people don't trust water authority. They worry that the agency care more about the profits than in the environment. People also worry the impact of the program on the sea life and how much energy desalination land use. For recycled wastewater, a big challenge is yuck factor. Even though treated wastewater is safe to drink, many people feel uncomfortable with the idea of drinking water that comes from sewage, and this emotional barrier can be hard to break. And what if we explain the science behind it? So, how can we fix this? Water authority needs to be open, involve community, and create educational campaign to show how safe and sustainable these technology are. A good example is the Pinjab Railwater project in Western Australia. It got public support by offering tour teaching people about how the process works. This helped build trust and comfort with the idea. So, with this right approach, we can solve the challenges and ensure a sustainable future. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Trang. Some really interesting stuff. Even I didn't know some of that. Now, we're going to move on to our resident greenie, Joe, who's going to run us through a case study of the Murray River Basin, a little bit closer to home for some of you folks.
Thanks, Sam. When it comes to water, the environment plays a huge role in keeping everything in balance.
As the planet heats up and weather patterns change, we're seeing water scarcity, degrading ecosystems, and declining water quality all over the world.
Let's take the Murray-Darling Basin in Australia as an example. It's one of the most important water systems, but it's under threat from overuse and climate change. Less rain and rising temperatures mean less water in the rivers, impacting not just people, but the wildlife and plants that depend on it. So how do we keep things sustainable? One approach is to use nature-based solutions.
By restoring wetlands, for instance, we can help regulate water levels and quality during floods and droughts. These areas also provide crucial habitats for biodiversity.
We're also focusing on sustainable groundwater management, especially as surface water sources become less reliable. In places like the Murray-Darling Basin, we need to carefully manage groundwater to avoid overuse, ensuring it's available for the long term.
And finally, a key part of the solution is making sure enough water is set aside for the environment, what we call environmental water allocations. This ensures that rivers, wetlands, and ecosystems can thrive even during dry spells.
So, by working with nature and managing our resources wisely, we can help to future-proof water services and protect ecosystems. That's it from me. Let's keep making sure our water systems are sustainable as possible. Back to you, Sam.
Good stuff from Green Joe there, but between you and me, I heard he drives a Prius. Anyway, on to Jack now, our economical advisor. He's done 10 years at Deloitte, 10 years at KPMG, and 10 years at PwC. And he's only 25 years old. I don't know how he does it. Jack, let's hear from you.
Thanks for that, Sam. I'm glad my experience has got me somewhere. Now let's dive into the dollars and cents of water management. Because managing our water isn't just about taps and pipes. It's about balancing the budget too. Today we're comparing the economics of two key strategies for Australia's water future: desalination and wastewater recycling. As we said before, desalination has become a vital lifeline for Australia's coastal cities. With decreasing rainfall and longer droughts, Plants like the Perth Seawater Desalination Plant ensure that even when reservoirs run dry, the taps won't. But these benefits come at a high cost. Desal plants require massive upfront investments and they're expensive to run, thanks to their heavy energy consumption. That also makes them really vulnerable to energy price spikes, adding financial pressure to an already costly operation. Now, on the other hand, wastewater recycling offers a more affordable and energy efficient solution. It's already showing results in places like South Australia, where recycled water from the Northern Adelaide irrigation scheme supports agriculture, reducing reliance on fresh water. Recycling also helps industries cut water bills, sometimes by as much as half. But as our tech expert Sam mentioned before, there's a hurdle, the yuck factor. Public discomfort with using recycled water remains a challenge, even though advanced treatment makes it completely safe. As Trang also mentioned before, that's where public education comes in. With smart campaigns, governments can help people see recycled water for what it really is, a clean, sustainable, and most importantly, a cost-effective solution. These campaigns can be costly in the short term, but could save billions if it's effective. In Australia's future, there's no simple economic solution. Desal will be crucial for coastal cities, providing drought-proof water supplies. Meanwhile, wastewater recycling will thrive in agricultural and industrial areas, ensuring we manage our resources and money wisely. Together, these strategies can offer a balanced response to the economic challenges of water management in a changing climate. And with that, back to you at the main desk.
Well, money talks, doesn't it? Anyway, now that we've heard from everyone, let's wrap this thing up, and I'll see you guys next week.
Water services are under pressure from population growth, climate change, and resource mismanagement. To tackle this, solutions like desalination and water recycling are the key. Balancing technology with social acceptance, affordability, and renewable energy is essential. I hope our message is loud and clear. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye.